Are you overwhelmed by student behavior? It's not always about what's happening. It's about how you're framing it. Today, I'll give you 3 simple mindset shifts that can change the way you experience your classroom. Stay tuned. Are you a Christian teacher exhausted by constant disruptions, overwhelmed by chaos, and simply feeling unheard? Hi friends, I'm Trish, a wayfinder for Christian teachers, educator, and survivor of complex childhood trauma. I've walked hard roads and now help you navigate yours. In the Society's Child podcast, you'll get faith-based encouragement, trauma-informed strategies, and mental health tools to calm behaviors, restore peace, and create real connection in your classroom. You're not alone, my friends. Let's find the way forward together. Hey friends, welcome back to Society's Child. If you've ever thought, I can't handle this anymore, or why don't they just listen, or my goodness, nothing I'm doing is working, then my friends, please know you're not alone. Teaching is one of the hardest jobs out there. It's not just because of the lesson planning, the grading, and the testing, but because you're dealing with real human emotions, real trauma, and real behaviors every single day. And those are so unpredictable. We never know where they're going to go. And here's the thing. You can't always change your students. Sometimes you can, but often we can't change humans. We can't erase the trauma. We can't force them to be engaged. You know how they say you can lead them to water, but you can't make them drink? You can't even control everything that happens in their world, like we can't control what's happening in our world. But the one thing you can change is how you respond. There's one small shift in the difference of feeling defeated and being empowered. You can feel empowered by changing your mindset. So today I want to give you 3 simple mindset shifts that will help you handle student behavior with less stress, less frustration, and more peace. So let's jump right in. So the first mindset shift in the way that you'll see your classroom has to do with, number 1, reframing frustration. Seeing dysregulation in the student as a need and not defiance. It's easy to see this defiant and disruptive, unmotivated behavior as a choice, but in many cases, it's actually a stress response. So let me give you a little bit of science fact here. When students experience trauma, they have extra anxiety or they have extra stress, which a lot of times our classes and our schooling can be that way. The prefrontal cortex, the front part of the brain, the thinking part of the brain, the part responsible for reasoning and impulse control, it shuts down. They're literally not in their thinking brain at that moment. They cannot think logically in that moment. So here's the mindset shift. Instead of asking them, why are you acting like this? Or what's going on with you? Or why can't you sit still? Try saying something like, I wonder what they need right now. Are they hungry, angry, lonely, tired? A dysregulated student, they need 3 things. They need safety, not more stress. They don't need us to come down on them more. A disengaged student, they need connection. They don't need shame. We don't need to talk down to them. A loud, disruptive student, they often need co-regulation. Someone that's going to be able to co-regulate with them, not power struggles. Because if we give them these power struggles, we give them shame, we add more stress, it literally exacerbates the problem and makes it worse. So the next time a student pushes your button, I want to encourage you to stop, pause, and ask yourself, are they truly choosing this behavior, or is their nervous system reacting? And ask yourself, what can I do to bring safety to this moment instead of adding more stress or shaming the student or going into a power struggle? Here's a bonus tip. Start saying, I see you, instead of you need to listen. Acknowledge them and understand right where they are. So you can say things like, I see you're having a hard time. Let's figure this out together. Or you might say, I notice you're frustrated. So watch how this small shift changes the energy in your classroom when all of a sudden they realize you're on their side, that you're trying to figure it out with them and you're not against them. The second mindset shift that I want you to be thinking about, it's a quick mental reset. So this is where you shift your focus when you feel stuck and you feel overwhelmed. So the problem is you might have had one of those bad moments that sometimes we let ruin our entire day. A student talks back first thing in the morning and you're like, I'm not in for this today. And suddenly your mood is shot. Or maybe the class, your favorite class of the day, comes in and they won't settle down no matter what you've tried. And you start questioning if you're even cut out for this job because you can't seem to get it under control. Or maybe you woke up and came into class and you found the first thing in your email this morning was a rude email from a parent, and it threw you into a lot of self-doubt and questioning, and you're really not sure where you're going or why you're doing what you're doing. So I want to encourage you. So instead of letting that bad moment define your day, practice your mental resets. So for example, the 10-minute rule. Will this moment still feel this big in 10 minutes? Sometimes I even say in a year, will this matter? So really it's in the next 10 minutes. Will it really feel this big? Or is this just this moment? And do I need to let it dictate my day? The student filter is another one I like to use. And this is where if this was my own child, grandchild, brother, sister, niece, nephew, how would I react differently? If that child's mother was sitting here with this child, how would I react differently in this moment? That sometimes can change and reset our mind as we're thinking about how to approach different students. Hi, friend. I wanted to pause right here and just take a moment to ask you for a special favor. If you are finding anything helpful in this episode or any previous episodes that you've listened to, would you pause right now, go into the Apple Podcast app, scroll down to the bottom of the show, and find the Leave a Review button. It would be awesome if you would take a moment and follow the show and do this. There are people out there just like you looking for this information, and this would help the algorithm get this into other people's hands, and it would be helpful for them as well. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's one of the biggest favors that you can do for me. I appreciate you and thank you in advance for taking the time to do this. So let's get right back to the show. The classroom reset phrase that I like is, this moment doesn't define me as a teacher. This email or this situation does not define me as who I am. I have a whole career of who I am, and I know that I'm a good teacher. Saying that to ourselves sometimes can help us redefine that moment and say, this particular moment is not my whole identity. It's not wrapped up in this moment. So if a student is pushing you to the edge, step away for 10 seconds, grab a drink of water, adjust the blinds, write something on the board. These little micro pauses where you can just walk away, take a deep breath, get your thoughts. They break these stress loops where we get in and we get these thought patterns that just replay in our minds. If a class is chaotic, I want to encourage you to pause and say, we're going to reset. Everyone take a deep breath and let's try again. Because maybe it's the whole class that needs to reset and calm down and focus. Maybe everybody's minds are all over the place. So maybe we need to figure out how we can get the whole class from being chaotic and go into calm if we reset the whole class at the same time. Or if you're feeling overwhelmed, pick one small positive moment in your day and focus on that instead. There's a lot of things that are great going into our classrooms. There's a lot of great kids sitting in front of us. And if we can find one of those and take our minds off of the immediate moment that we feel like is a danger to our own central nervous system, it will take us out of that fight and flight mode and keep us in that calm, regulated mode. Because your brain, it defaults to negative experiences unless you intentionally redirect it. So I want to encourage you to try to find a way to consciously redirect those thoughts. The third mindset shift that I want you to be thinking about is what I call the power of small wins. Letting go of the need for instant change, because I don't know about you, but I know I didn't get this way overnight. And I know the changes that I've worked so hard for in my life, they don't come at an instant flip of a switch. So the problem is that we all want to see big transformation in our students right now. But real growth, we know that it happens in tiny steps. And sometimes we're spending a whole year with the kids and we go, they're just not getting it. I don't understand. So instead of expecting them to immediately, drastically, dramatically change right then, I want to encourage you to think about the small wins. So if a difficult student stayed in their seat today when they usually don't, hey, yoo-hoo, that's a win. Maybe a shy student spoke up for the first time. Yes, that's a win. Maybe you, as a teacher, responded calmly more this time than you did the last time. Yes, that's grace for yourself. That's a win. Celebrate that. So the way that you can start thinking about this or doing this is start keeping a small wins list, a sticky note on your desk. When you don't have time, just run up to the podium or back to your desk and write it down really quick. Put a note in your phone so that you can remember that this is your list of small wins that you want to celebrate. And at the end of the week, write down 3 things that went right so you can start keeping it in mind and in the forefront of your head. Tell yourself, progress is still progress, even if I don't see the full picture yet. There's a saying that I learned from recovery that I use a lot, and that's progress, not perfection. And I added on to that, being in the process is progress. And if we can recognize that we're in process and our students are in process of growing, we know we are in progress. Progress is more important than being perfect in that moment. So remember, Jesus discipled people who took years to grow. Their change wasn't instant, but it was happening. We on this side of it may not see the end and see the full fruit of what we're doing, but we're planting seeds. And so I want to remind you that if you take one thing from today's episode, please let it be this. Your thoughts shape your experience in the classroom. What you focus on, it expands. So if you're focusing on negative, you're going to get negative. If you focus on positive, you're going to get gratitude. This week, I challenge you. Pick one mindset shift. So will you reframe your frustration and look for needs instead of defiance? Will you reset your thinking when the stress hits you? Or will you celebrate one small win instead of feeling defeated and going down that defeated path? Try it. See how it changes your classroom and how it brings you more peace. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, remember this. You are still planting seeds, even if you don't see the fruit yet. Galatians 6:9 reminds us, let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Your impact is bigger than you can see. Keep going. You are shaping lives. And if this episode spoke to you, come over to the Christian Educator Connection Facebook group. I'd love to hear how you're reframing things in your classroom this week. Oh, and also, please make sure that you click the subscribe or follow button. Take a moment to leave a review and tell others what you've learned from this podcast. That's the only way the message gets out. All right, my friends, see you next time. See you on the next episode. Bye for now. Thanks for tuning in. If you found anything helpful here, please leave a quick review. It helps more Christian teachers find the support they need. Join us over on Facebook in the Christian Educator Connection group. Search that title or find the link in the show notes. Keep showing up, my friends. Keep leading with grace, and remember, you're not walking this path alone. We're in this together.